And we're back.
And we are so back.
Live, ready for another episode. Except not live.
No, it's us. It's Sunday.
It is Sunday, and you guys are going to be hearing this tomorrow. Oh my gosh.
It's another week. What episode is this? 5?
This one's episode 6, huh?
Oh my goodness.
I know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how many episodes we've had.
Guys, it's almost been 2 months. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh. Well, a month and a half.
Well, I'm saying it's almost been 2 months. Whatever.
And that we've been working on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, we're pumped about this one.
Yeah, so this is our first manager that we're going to be interviewing.
That's right. We got Frederick Levy on the episode today. He is a manager and has written some books, and
He's done some producing. He's done it all. He's done it all. Some radio back in the day.
worked for Disney, the lot, Walt Disney lot. Learned a lot of stuff there. Yeah, he did. Nadia's looking at me, shaking her head. You listened to the episode again.
No, whatever. Listen, you guys, what's cool about this episode and what's cool about what's going to be coming on with our shows is that our different episodes, I should say, is that we're going to, have different managers, different agents. We're going to have different, just a variety of the way that people do business. And that's what I love about it, because one manager will do certain things a certain way, and then you'll have another manager that will do things another way. And obviously there should be common denominators there and within agents and all of that. But ideally, it's going to be really interesting to kind of see just how different every different person works.
Everybody's journey, everybody's modus operandi.
Yeah.
I think I did a little Spanish with a little...
I don't know what that was.
Italian. So,
I'm sure that was neither.
Whatever it was, I totally nailed it. How was your week?
It was good. It was crazy.
Yeah? Tell me more about that.
You act like you don't live with me.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. My family came into town. My parents came into town because our little boy's going to be 1 next week. Oh, my God.
1 year old.
So we've been...
And your big boy turned 31.
Oh, yeah. And then we had a birthday.
That's right. I had a birthday. Feel free to, if you're listening to this, you can comment on my page and tell me happy birthday. And that means so much.
Yeah. He had a birthday on the 21st.
Yep.
I don't know what day it is, guys. It's been a long week. But it was great. We did some birthday stuff, and
Yep.
we recuperated from Disneyland. We went to Disneyland on Sunday
For Father's Day.
for Father's Day.
June is going to be a terrible month for Nadia.
It is, guys. I was so stressed. I think I'm so stressed out. That's why I don't know what's happening today.
Father's Day, my birthday,
And then
our son's birthday.
less than a week later, it's our son's birthday. So
I
yeah,
bet you guys can guess who's going to be getting the shaft.
the pressure was on. First birthday, first Father's Day, 31st birthday, which is whatever, but
Hey, what if never mind. That's exciting. It's a big week for us. We're excited for you guys to be tuning in. If you haven't already, you know it would mean so much to us.
to hit that subscribe button. Isn't that what you always say?
Hit that subscribe button. Give us a subscribe
Exactly.
button. Click that subscribe button. But you can also, if you feel like you're getting value from this, you enjoy it, you think it's fun, you think it's funny, you think it's entertaining, whatever, you think it's awful, whatever, send it to a friend of yours.
Yeah.
Tell them about it. Be like, yo, check out this awesome podcast that I just came across.
Yeah, we got some fun stuff coming up for the month of July. We're not going to quite reveal yet.
Can we give them a little teaser of what's happening in July?
You can go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you guys that if you're listening to this is the first time you're going to hear about it. In July, we have a giveaway.
Yep.
And it is going to be big.
I think it's going to be dope.
Let me just put it this way. If Nadia or I were on the other end of this audio message, we'd be thinking to ourselves, dang, we got to sign up for that.
Dan, we got to win that. We got to win that.
Got to win that. So get ready. The month of July is going to be crazy for No Business Like Show Business. But for today, for right now,
enjoy this episode with an amazing friend of mine who is a manager, y'all. Stay tuned. Enjoy.
Oh, wait, scratch that. Before you get started in this episode, just a quick note. If you're tuning in on YouTube, our cameras, we had cameras set up and they just went crazy. They lost battery. They were out of focus. Anyways, long story short, it's just going to be the audio version this week. So sorry if you love seeing us on YouTube. Tune in next week. We got new camera and everything else comes back to life. So sorry about that. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye. We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome to No Business Like Show Business. My name is Preston.
And I'm Nadia.
And we're your hosts. And this week is a special week, Nadia.
Yes, it is. I have an amazing longtime friend / manager / ex-manager / all of the above / I trained him back in the day. Frederick Levy from Management 101.
Welcome, Frederick.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
Can you believe it almost didn't happen today?
It almost didn't, but
it was our fault.
Fate intervened. Fate intervened.
Babe, you got to tell them the story.
Hashtag mom brain. So I've been wanting, when we talked about it, I was like, okay, we got to get Frederick on here because he's awesome and he's a wealth of knowledge. And I was like, let me reach out. But I was doing a million things at once. So I'm texting him. And anyway, long story short, I was like, yeah, see you Thursday. Awesome. And I was at work. He's like, great, see you then. And then I sent him an email with Wednesday, the 22nd at 7:30 p.m. And
we're sitting over here thinking, Wednesday's the day.
Yeah, we got to get everything ready for him. And then we decided to get coffee.
Oh, yeah, I need it. It's my life source.
And then I ran into who?
To me, at a coffee shop I have never, in 32 years that I've lived in LA, been to. And there you are. And you say, oh, I'm going to see you tonight. I said, tonight, tomorrow night. And you're like, no, tonight. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow, but I can come tonight if you really want me to.
And I was like, let me check my email. And then sure enough, I did. And it said Wednesday, the 22nd. But then I was like, let me check my text. And it was Thursday.
Oh, goodness.
So there was that. But hey, here we are.
We made it. It's happening. Thank you so much for coming. We're stoked to have you.
Of course. I think flexibility is the key to success in Hollywood.
Oh, diving right in. I love it. Yeah, so true.
So true.
So true. I think that's a hard lesson to learn sometimes.
It is. I mean, it's funny. I work with a lot of actors, just to jump in. And as you know, because you are actors, a lot of times you'll get a last minute audition.
Yeah.
And agents and managers, we don't like it when you say, I'm sorry, I've got something else going on. I can't make it. What do you mean you've got something else going on? Your number one priority is being an actor.
You're
you
like,
need to figure it out.
This is your job.
Right. So people need to be very flexible, including having flexible jobs that they can quit.
Right.
Need be.
Essentially.
I'm going to be on a show for 6 months, so bye.
And that's so true. I mean, I think the struggle out here, or at least that Nadia and I face, is it's so expensive living in LA. And so being the actor, it's like you really got to figure out that piece, because you don't want to fade away because of your circumstance, because you can't take care of your bills. So I think, priority number one for an actor would be, let me get that job that is flexible, or those multiple jobs that are flexible, or create something like this that hopefully will turn into something that can support you.
Yeah.
What would be the most important thing for someone considering being a manager? If flexibility is the business's game.
Most important thing for somebody who wants to be a manager, it's relationships, I would say, is probably the most important thing. I've been in this business for almost 30 years. So, I bring a plethora of relationships from when I first started out in this business till now. I'm constantly meeting new people. In fact, I make it a point that whenever I go to any sort of an industry event or anything related to this business, I always try to meet at least one new person.
That's awesome.
Because you just never know, how you could potentially work together. Maybe not now, maybe in the future.
When you meet that person, do you feel like you is it like an intentional, like I'm meeting this person and taking down their number, or just kind of making that connection and really talking to them to be memorable?
I think it's important that the connections be organic.
For sure.
If you're trying too hard, it's not going to result in anything. But if you can somehow meet them organically, I'll give you a great example. We were at an event for the FYC, which is the Emmy campaigns through the Television Academy. And we were at an event a few weeks ago for Barry, which is a hilarious show if you haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it yet.
On
I've heard great things.
HBO, right?
It is so
Bill Hader.
funny.
You love it.
Bill Hader and Henry Winkler, and it's great. Anyways, at the after party, we're sitting at a table that there's random people sitting at. And, we're social. We struck up a conversation with random people. And, an hour later, we're having a good time telling stories. And, the place is thinning out. And we thought, wow, we just had a really nice time. Oh, by the way, we hadn't even asked, like, oh, who, what do you do? But let's exchange cards and stay in touch.
Yeah.
Maybe, and it was just organic. It wasn't like I was like, hi, here's my card. This is what I do. What do you do? It just kind of, we had such a nice time. It was, something that we wanted to.
It's a genuine, I would imagine it's like a genuine interest when you're listening and really trying to get to know somebody versus like having this agenda.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Now, how did you determine in life, this is what I want to be a part of? This is the business that I love?
Because you were producing before this.
I was, and I still am.
Let's go from the beginning.
What? Beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Birth.
So I was a natural birth.
Love it.
No such thing. Just kidding. No, there is for some.
Well, it's funny. For some reason in high school, I had this inkling that I wanted to move to Los Angeles. I grew up in Boston. And I remember as a teen, I subscribed to Los Angeles Magazine. And I don't know, I just wanted to, I was fascinated with LA, and not necessarily the movie business, but just Los Angeles, California.
Yeah. Was it like itself. TV that you saw stuff, or I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what it stemmed from, because when I applied for colleges, I applied to all East Coast schools and USC.
Nice.
And the only reason I applied to USC is I had sent away for an application from UCLA, and it never came, but one randomly came from USC. So I said, oh, that's in Los Angeles. Okay, I'll apply there. And lo and behold, I got in.
That's amazing, though.
And then I said to my parents, who had never taken a vacation to Los Angeles or allowed me to go, I said, I have to go to Los Angeles to see this school and make sure, it might be where I want to go. So I convinced them at 17 to let me go for 2 weeks to LA on my own.
I was going to say, did they go with you? They shipped you out?
No, on my own. I mean, this is crazy. I remember spending 2 full days walking up and down Hollywood Boulevard, looking at all the stars.
Oh my God.
I was fascinated. I had so much fun. And on the very last day of that trip, I had my tour of USC, and I'll be honest with you, I can't remember what I did the night before, but I was so sick that about 10 minutes into the tour, I went to the bathroom to throw up, and that was the end of it. Like, I didn't even see the rest of the school.
Oh, dang.
But I had such a fun time in Los Angeles that I came back and said, I am 100% going to USC.
Like, it doesn't even matter. I'm there.
Didn't see the school,
Boston.
but I'm in.
I'm in.
Weather?
Los Angeles sold me. It was the weather. It was, and I had always been a fan, let's say that, of film and television, and being in LA, going to Universal Studios, going to see some TV shows live, taped live. Now it's like, oh, put a gun to my head. But back then I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to stand in line for 5 hours to then sit through 7 hours of a taping.
Right.
And it was, exciting for me before I was jaded.
I was going to say, did you? Yeah.
But I did. I mean, I remember, I can't remember exactly. I saw some game shows at NBC. I think I might have gone to a taping of Hollywood Squares and A Different World and
all the good
right.
Shows,
I mean, it was just like some fun stuff. And I was like, I don't know. I was hooked on LA. But again, when I went to USC, I was a business major. I didn't realize you could actually study film and television. Didn't even realize USC had the best film and TV, department probably in the world.
Yeah, you were too sick. You couldn't do the tour.
Why? I had no idea. I mean, I wasn't one of these kids who grew up with a camera in my hand.
Yeah.
But of course, being at USC,
you were around those people.
I was around those people. They were my friends. I started to fill my electives with film and TV classes. And eventually I graduated with my business degree, but with a minor in film and television.
Awesome.
The other thing that was interesting is that a lot of my friends were doing internships while they were in school.
Right.
So I said, well, I should get an internship. And so I got an internship on the original Love Connection.
No way.
With Chuck Woolery. And that actually led to my first full-time job when I graduated. I became a guest coordinator for the show.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
And I did that for about a year. I worked on that show. I worked on a show called Studs with Mark DiCarlo, which was like Love Connection for couples. I worked on all sorts of cheesy early relationship reality television.
Kind of, game shows. Or they kind of like game shows?
Yeah,
No,
a lot of game shows and things like that. And then I realized that that's not what I wanted to do with my career.
Yeah.
And I quit.
How long did you do that? Like a couple years?
Like a year.
Okay,
A year. And what I did after that, I started temping almost exclusively at Walt Disney Studios. I worked in pretty much every department, from casting to licensing to music to merchandise to production. I mean, you name it.
You did it.
I had a firsthand education on how a studio operates.
What did your family think at the time?
When I told them I was quitting my job, my mom was like, "No, you can't quit your job." What are you
So that was your
thinking?
first job in LA?
That was my first.
Because you didn't have to work at you were at USC?
Well, yeah, I worked while I was in school. Like I was an RA.
Okay.
In college, I worked in the president's office at the university. I was a tour guide at Universal Studios.
Did you live
summer.
on dorm or at the dorms?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you were managing people even at a young age.
Well, what's funny is my senior year at USC, I was the RA of the cinema floor. And so everybody on that floor had an interest in cinema. And I remember this very clearly because one of the things that we did together as a floor is we used to watch Twin Peaks every week when it came on. This is the original Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And we would arrange for the writers or cast members from the show to come and watch it with us each week and then do a Q&A afterwards. So we had like the log lady and we had several of the writers and it was a really fun thing. So 2 years ago when Showtime announced that they were bringing Twin Peaks back for a reboot, a revival, and they said, one of the things that Dale Cooper, the character that Kyle MacLachlan plays on the show, was that, I'll see you again in 25 years. And so 25 years later, Showtime decides they're going to do this reboot. So I thought, 25 years would be a great time to reunite with all of the people that we lived with.
That's amazing.
Back then. So
like a reunion.
2 years ago, we had a reunion for the cinema floor.
No way.
And of the 24 or so people that lived on the floor, I think about 16 came.
Wow.
We've tracked people down from all over the country. We had 3 or 4 fly in. And what's great is that a lot of us are still working in this business today. Some of the people on that floor are mega successful.
Wow.
Wow.
So, some people aren't in the business at all. They decided to go in different directions.
Right.
But what was so nice is it was as if no time had passed. Like it literally was a get together where it could have lasted for 2 weeks. It was just so nice to see these people and just reunite.
Just reconnect.
Yeah.
That's
It's
amazing.
really impressive to get 16 out of 24. I had a high school reunion come up, and it got canceled because no one RSVP'd. So we got 1,000 people that we graduated with, and it was too little attendance to continue it.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
well, there you go.
that's impressive in and of itself, and the fact that they're all still in the game. That's
Most were.
Well, and
Yeah.
that brings
Or
me
most
back
of it,
to what I started off with. Is relationships are important.
Yeah.
And, and a lot of those relationships that were built while we were students, while we were all on equal footing, have continued to this day. And I see, each one of us helping others from that group out when we can.
Right.
It's nice. It's nice.
awesome.
But that's awesome. I mean, when you think about it, it's they say it's who you know to a point, right? For sure. Like you think about it for whether it's like managers, you have to have direct relationships with the casting directors, and then do you guys deal with like the producer side of stuff?
Producers with the network and studio execs. I mean, but it's really everybody, just depending on the project, depending on who I know who's involved, I may pick up the phone to call somebody, one of the writers on the show, or it just depends on every situation is unique.
Yeah.
But certainly knowing somebody who's working on a project that you may have a client who's right for, that's always going to help. And as a producer, the more people I know that I can have packaged in the film or can introduce me to somebody else that they know, or
So, like, thinking, because it's kind of crazy to trip to think about, okay, you've been doing this, well, not managing for 30 years, but you've been in the industry for such a long time. And I'm sure with the different roles that you've had, you've seen just how much it's changed. I mean, just period, right? In 30 years. So let's just say how, for actors, like there would be different advice that you would give to an actor today than even 10 years ago
Absolutely.
as to like what they should be doing for their career or shouldn't be doing or whatever. What would you say is 3 or 4 of the biggest differences that you think are like of utmost importance today that actors should be doing that maybe you didn't think were so important 10 years ago?
well, the biggest difference I see just overall with this industry is that they make a lot less films today, and the films that the studios are making are big tentpole comic book movies for the most part.
Right.
And so, they're making, 10 movies a year, whereas when I started, they were making 40 movies a year. So there's a lot less work. So what happened from an acting perspective is a lot of the movie stars started doing television. So that's why you see Julia Roberts and Meryl Streep.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
I mean, Reese Witherspoon and Matthew McConaughey and all of these movie stars doing television shows.
Right.
So what does that mean? So all of the television stars now are doing a lot more guest star work than they did before because they can't get the jobs that they once got because the movie stars are taking them,
Yeah.
which means that the guest star actors are now taking co-star work, and the co-star actors are SOL.
Yeah,
Right.
and then the people that are trying to get co-stars that can't get co-stars are even more SOL.
I mean, it's a lot more competitive, and even though there's a lot more opportunities in television today than there was all those years ago, it's still, I don't know. I think there's 10 times as many actors vying for those jobs now because there's more people willing to do these jobs than were necessarily willing to do them before. And also remember, there's a ton of TV shows out there, but there's a lot of shows that now only go for 10 episodes.
Yeah,
so
like
Right.
miniseries. And
so you look at somebody like Natasha Lyonne. Well, okay, she's on Orange is the New Black, right?
Yeah.
Series regular, but she's also on Russian Doll, series regular, both on Netflix.
Interesting,
Yeah.
because before you can't do that with network.
But
right?
when you're only doing 10 to 13 episodes now, there's a lot more flexibility to be able to do that. But
Right.
half your year opens up.
right.
Yeah.
So, and the other interesting about Netflix in particular is I noticed that a lot of times they will reuse their actors from one show to the next. Sean Astin, who was on Stranger Things, is also on this show on Netflix called No Good Nick.
Okay.
And I've seen this a lot lately that they keep recycling. I have a client doing a movie up in Vancouver for Netflix.
Right.
One of the actors in it is Betty Gilpin, who's on Netflix series Glow. So, get in with Netflix. I think that's the
right.
secret to
It's like
success.
the new. It's like the new studio format.
It really-
When
it
before
really
you were a
is.
studio player and you would go through movie to movie. Now it's Netflix.
But going back to your question,
Yeah.
what was your question?
Well, it was kind of like, when before I remember when I first started, it was kind of like you're waiting for your agent or manager to call, but obviously you're in class and you're doing what you can. I feel like there's just so much more now with creating your own content or just kind of
You have to
creating buzz in some capacity.
You have to be. I always said you have to be your own best agent, but you really do need to be proactive. If you're just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring,
Yeah.
You're gonna go stir crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to create projects for yourself. You have to collaborate with your friends. You have to.
Because think of social media now. Social media didn't even exist
Right. You're
the way
right.
it does even 8 years
Right.
ago, the way it does today.
Absolutely.
Where you're seeing people that have paid sponsorships on Instagram that started out doing Vine, and now that Vine's no longer here. Now they're doing stuff on Instagram, and it's just this whole other thing. And again, I don't know. We always have this conversation because I'm kind of I've been doing it a lot longer than Preston's been doing it. So in my mind, I'm kind of like, yeah, but like you're creating a personality, whether it's YouTube or whether it's Instagram, but is that going to translate over as like acting where you're doing like character stuff when you're just kind of being yourself, but just, I don't know, like what's the thought on that? Does that make sense?
It's mixed because you could have, 3 million followers,
Right.
but if you're not a great actor, it's only going to get you so far. So, oftentimes I see that they are requesting, casting offices or producers or networks are requesting social media numbers. And that is a factor that goes into the hiring decisions, but it's not the only factor.
Right.
But it certainly doesn't hurt. As a producer of some independent films, it would be nice to have actors who have large social media followings, because presumably they will help promote the film.
Right.
And if they can bring 3 million of their followers to come see your movie, you can start to make your money back. I mean, that's a
great
nice
leap point, because you already have a built-in audience.
That's the hope.
So if you can have a built-in audience with the talent to back it up, I mean, that's kind of like the best combination, I guess.
Yeah.
To be able to leverage that into like more legit acting jobs where you're actually being cast for stuff that's not your own stuff, I guess.
What would you think in terms of the work of a manager is most, if someone were to think, oh, manager, what is misconstrued often about the work that you do?
Well, they think that we're an agent. That's probably the number one thing that people think. Now, let me clarify that, because oftentimes what we do will mimic what the agent's doing. We're looking for opportunities. We're trying to help our clients get in rooms. And I do a great deal of that, but it's not my primary function. It's the primary function of the agent.
Yeah.
When I do that, it's because I've done everything else that I need to do. But really what I should be focused on is the big picture. What is this client going to do once their TV show wraps? I'm reading scripts. I'm looking for projects. I'm tracking things that are coming down the pipeline.
Right.
I'm helping build the team. Do they need a publicist? Do they need an attorney? Depending on the client, you do different things. So, I've got a lot of responsibilities that I need to do as a manager, so I can't constantly be on the phone pitching, even though I do a lot of pitching.
Right.
But it shouldn't be, and it can't be my primary function. So I think a lot of people feel that if they have a manager, that's all they're going to do, but that's not all that I have to do.
Right. And then you got not just one client, you have a lot of clients, I'm sure. Or a handful.
Of course. So what I tend to do is, when there is something that to me just makes sense, it's a slam dunk. This person is 100% right for this role. Not, they could play this role.
Right.
Because let's face it, they could play 80% of the roles that I see. But when I know they have to be seen for this, at that point, I will make those calls and I will send those emails and I will follow up. But I can't do it every single time. So when, every manager and every agent, I'm sure, has those clients that every time they see something that they think that they're right for, will call them or email them and say, hey, I just wanted to make sure you saw this. But, hello, I see the breakdowns. I don't know why you see the breakdowns, but I see the breakdowns. And you've already been submitted. And you're right. This is something that I agree 100%. I already have a call into casting. I'm going to do whatever I can to get you in the room. But if you send me for, oh my God, wouldn't I be great as barista number 2? I've worked at Starbucks.
You're like, so would 100 other people in this town, or 1,000.
And that's an opportunity also for listeners. If you're out there and maybe you haven't made your way to LA yet and you're working into wanting to be a part of the business or working in the market you're in, just to clarify some of that, the breakdown options are exclusive to, or some of them are exclusive to, managers and agents. So actors don't have the full access to what's coming down the pipeline about what is being cast. So when he was referencing, how do you see the breakdown? It's not on the actor to be able to see it.
Right.
So it's one of those things where if you are seeing
it's behind the scenes. It's on the sneak tip.
It's on the sneak tip. Actors can get nice and crazy about their work.
But speaking of actors who aren't even in LA yet, what's so fascinating to me is I get probably 5 or 6 DMs a day on Instagram on our company account, which is at management_101.
Give them a follow,
Get
guys.
DM. Just kidding. Don't DM.
What he's about to explain, do it.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Don't do it. Because here's what happens. I get these DMs. Hey, I want to be an actor. Will you represent me? Okay, you live in the middle of nowhere. You've never acted before. You've never taken an acting class.
Oh, Lord.
You don't have a resume. You don't have a reel. Why would I want to represent you at this point? You need to do your homework. You need to start to build a resume. You start to get some credits, start to get some experience. Then let's have a conversation.
You need to get
Right.
it together, homie. What?
Yeah, you need to
That's bold.
subscribe to our podcast. Learn a little more.
Yes, good idea.
Right? Dive in a little deeper.
It's funny though, I have some friends. You talk to them, and it's like, yeah, I could do that. It's acting. Yeah, I could do that. And it's like, no, it's not. That's not the way it works. It's just not. It's like you got to put in the time. You got to have the talent to back it up. And even like one of the things that you told me that always stayed with me, and I always tell Preston, is confidence. Like if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you.
Right.
Period. End of story. And I remember you telling me a story about like somebody who had went into like a meeting at NBC or something, and like literally they just stole the room because they were so confident walking in. And it's one of those things that I think even to this day we talk about it. If we can't see ourselves as that, nobody else can, and why should they?
But it's funny, Nadia, because I remember telling you that multiple times, and this is before we ever worked together.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I met you when you were a personal trainer.
Yep.
And you were so, you taught these group classes, and you were so confident in the gym that
I was putting the smackdown on everybody.
But it was like you were a character. You were this personal trainer, and you were amazing. And then I would have you come to audition for me, and I'd be like, where the heck did that girl go? Because
I could feel
you
it.
were like all nerves. And I'm like, well, I don't understand. You're like so confident in front of 40 people. And then you come in, it's just me, and you fall apart. I'm like, what is going on?
I remember that. And it was like twice. It was like that I even came in to audition for him, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would leave crying. And I'm just like, it takes, I don't even know when it finally like just clicked at some point, and some people like, they're harder on themselves, but at some point it's crazy that has to be there. I mean, there's always going to be nerves, but that confidence has to be there.
You have to have I don't give a
beep.
Yeah, attitude.
Basically, yep.
That's the thing.
It's totally true. You care it's like that balance of caring too much in the sense that you care enough to be responsible and like put in the work,
right?
But you can't care so much that it starts to like, you want to please everybody and everything and be right, like perfect and do everything perfect.
Exactly. And then a lot of it comes down to even just personal work, like living life.
Yeah.
Like doing things that you're good at, even separate from the industry, because then that gives you self-esteem.
Yeah.
Working out just so you feel good. So when you wake up, you got energy, and then that all feeds into how you see yourself, and then you can take that into the room.
Well, it gives you perspective. It gives you life experience. It gives you things to draw on, to bring into your art, which you need, if you're going to play anything other than a characterized,
version of yourself.
Version of yourself.
If you want to play anything other than an actor trying to survive in LA, right?
Right. Basically, you better get it together.
So what about, knowing that there is a difference between the agent and the manager, what about it attracts you to the management side? What's the piece that keeps you going there?
I could never wear a suit and tie to work every day.
Yeah.
No, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Me neither.
Yeah, no, I don't see it.
No, I like being a manager because you have a much closer personal relationship with each one of your clients, because typically you have a lot fewer clients than an agent does.
Right.
So I enjoy that aspect of it. I enjoy, talking to my clients before their auditions, hearing from them after their auditions, strategizing with them, helping them build their business, helping them build the
long-term,
right team.
short-term goals.
Absolutely. So that's always more enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like the agencies are really playing a numbers game, and not all agencies and not all agents at every agency. And even the agents that have tons of clients, I always feel like they still have their one or two special clients that they have a much closer relationship with, but,
and you work with like a variety of like age, like
I do,
right?
From kids as young as 6 to adults as old as old.
So, I mean, if there's a parent somewhere in like Arkansas that wants their child to be an actor, it's like, how does Like, what is some wise conventional wisdom? I feel like it's a tricky thing because we talk about it and people are always like, when are you going to put Jude in commercials? I'm like, we're not. Like, if we like have a family thing, awesome. But we're trying to hustle. I'm not going to drive him all over town trying to like get him to auditions. But like, there's also this, I think, parent responsibility to like the child that is going to come out here to pursue acting from like somewhere else. Like, what has been your experience, or what would you advise to the parents or to the parents? Because
it has to come from the child. The child has to want it. If it's the parent wanting it for the child, it's never going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
And typically I can see right through that in those instances. And I would never work with a child whose parent wants it more than them.
Right.
So let your child dictate to you that they want it, and let them demonstrate to you what they're willing to do to get it. Have them take classes locally, have them pick up a script every day after school for an hour and work on it.
Yeah.
See how dedicated they really are, because this business isn't easy, as we all know. And, if you don't have that passion and you don't have that drive to make it happen, it's tough. It's tough.
Well, I can imagine. And even like the toll it takes on families, like if they are going to move a whole family out here, or like, I'm sure that comes with time because you got to figure that stuff out, but also keeping kids like kind of grounded. I mean, kids are kids, but being able to keep them kind of grounded so that they're, like not losing their cuckoo brain and ending up all like.
The parents have to be grounded as well.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of different families, and I've met with many, many more families. And anytime I sense crazy coming from the parent, I run.
You're
I run
like,
in the other direction.
see ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
So good to meet you, but no.
That's a hard no.
I get it. We see them in the auditions that we go to. We see the difference.
Lord.
It's very palpable whenever a parent is like, go say hey, and remember their name. It's Johnny. Make sure that they remember you.
Oh, and
you know
if you
what I mean?
want McDonald's after, you better do it right.
You better look at me and you better
and I'm like,
kind to them.
I don't think your kid wants to be here. And it's always awesome and kind of rewarding in a weird way. When the casting or the camera operator will be like, hey, Johnny, do you want to be here, sweetheart? Because it's okay if you don't. And the little boy, like so many times they've been like, no. And then like they were like, it's no worries, man. Like it's all good. You know what? Maybe another day. Like don't even worry about it. And you can see this kind of sense of relief, and not all the time. Some kids really are professional and they're good,
and they love
you
it.
can tell that they want to be there, and they do their job. But some don't, and then they walk the mom standing right there with their arms crossed, and they're like, what happened? Okay, come on. And I'm like, oh, Lord, they're going to drive. They have a 2-hour drive to Carlsbad. Right. Like, let's go. Like, bye. That's going to be a long car ride home.
I'm super interested in to kind of backtrack to your story, the Disney part of it. So you got to do the different pieces. You got to see how the studio kind of operates. What was your next step out of Disney?
So one of the assignments I had when I was temping at Disney is I worked for a producer. I filled in for his assistant. And at that point, I kind of knew or thought I knew what I wanted to do was be a producer. So I thought this is a good place for me. And so I said to him, listen, anytime your assistant is out sick or on vacation, please ask for me. I'd love to come back.
Nice.
And I did that a couple of times. And eventually his assistant decided she was going to go off to grad school and become a writer. And he asked me if I wanted the job. And so that led to a full-time job. And I started as an assistant, became the story editor, then the director of development, and then finally the VP of the company. I ended up staying there for, I think, 7.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a side thing for producers, right? Because there's different kind of producers, like what executive producers, line producers, what kind of producer, like, were you doing? Like, what were you, what type of producer?
I mean, we could do a whole podcast just on that question.
I'm sure, right?
Well, hey, quick question.
Hey,
explain
real quick,
the
in
internet.
30 seconds, can you answer this one question? I guess what I'm asking is, like, when you're producing films and stuff like that, I guess there's just so many different parts of it.
Specifically, so this was a producer who had a deal on the lot with Disney at the time when I met him. He had previously been the head of physical production under Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Okay.
So Marty Katz, this is the producer I worked for. his background was as a line producer.
Okay.
A line producer is basically a nuts and bolts guy. He's the guy who knows how to physically produce a movie. But now he had a producing deal, so they were giving him an opportunity as a creative producer to find material, to develop material, and to set it up at the studios.
Nice.
So what was great about my experience working for Marty is I got to learn both. I got to learn how to develop material
And the
and
nuts
be
and bolts.
creative, and also how to physically produce a film. So it was a really amazing opportunity and education for me.
That's
and,
awesome.
And when I left that company after 7.5 years, I was able to produce a couple of films on my own. So, that was really beneficial.
Did you enjoy that?
Oh, I love it. It's nothing, as you know, as actors, there's nothing better than being on set.
Right.
And
Yeah.
what I'm able to do now is involve some of my clients when I do movies. I have a couple of actors who, went on to write and direct films, and they'd show me a script and say, "What do you think?" And I'd say, "I think it's great. It needs some work, but let's work on it together and let's get this movie made." And
That's awesome.
done that, 2 times in the last 5 years, and hopefully another one very soon.
That's amazing, but that's great. And I think that that's kind of one of the things, even as we're doing this, we were like Earnestly Productions, we're hoping to be able to do some of that, like whether it's producing shorts and independent films, just to have that platform to be able to like tell stories that we're not waiting for somebody to offer to us in some capacity.
It's important. You have to do that in today's Hollywood. You have to make
Yeah.
your own opportunities in addition to going on the auditions and castings and things like that.
Of course. I think that's one of the things that we're learning quickly, and it's with all the technology that you have and have access to, there's really no reason why you can't do it.
Exactly.
Or you shouldn't be doing it if you can. I mean, to be resourceful.
Listen, I was telling Preston before we started, I'm so impressed by your setup for this podcast.
Thank you.
I mean, it sounds good. It looks good. Everything's professional equipment, and, you're creating content that, who knows, maybe you have a guest that's on the show that leads to some opportunity for you, or maybe somebody hears the podcast and says, "Wow, I really love these guys. I want them to host a show for me." Or, you just never know what could happen, but at least you're out there doing something.
Yeah, and that was the thing, it's like I've been doing this a long time, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you got to change strategies. And that's the thing that I think we wanted to stress. It's like you have to kind of evolve or you get stuck, you get left behind.
Even going back to the opening line is to be adaptable.
Yes.
And to be flexible.
To be flexible and adaptable, and to understand that telling the story is the passion.
Yep.
No matter what piece of that puzzle you're a part of, it's like to lose sight that we love telling these stories is, I think, a true detriment to like coming out to LA and getting lost in the shuffle and thinking that it's all about that paycheck.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's super helpful to put that money on the table to be able to get a place that's not, falling apart or whatever. But it's one of those things that I think is so important to be reminded of, that the art of it is telling a beautiful story, getting people to sit back and go, wow, at the end of it. And there's like 100 million roads that a movie takes in its life. And I've always heard that there's 3 movies: the one that's written, the one that's edited or shot, and the one that's edited. And it's like, even in that, there's so many pieces that can go wrong at any second, and that movie is dead on the vine.
Or there's pieces that can go right that you never expected it to go as right as it's gone.
Yeah.
Exactly. And all of a sudden you're waking up going, how? How did it all come
Yeah,
together?
that's pretty awesome.
I mean, I remember very specifically on the set of Geography Club, which is a movie I produced a few years ago. There was a scene that took place at night at a summer camp, and we shot it I think we shot it up in Los Feliz. And our DP, this guy named Matthew Irving, who's a super talented DP, he had lit this set, and I came to set and I saw what he had done, and I thought, literally, I never in a million years pictured this to be as beautiful as
Wow.
you made it look. Wow. And I was just amazed at what he was able to do. And so that's why I say, like, we were doing, I like to think, knock on wood, we were doing everything right. But then just something like that surprised me. I had no idea how amazing, it could even exceed my own expectations.
Right.
That's the beautiful part of it, man. Sometimes the unexpected is what ends up being like the most the beautiful thing of it. And then because you want to have all your ducks in a row, and then if you just have to allow yourself to be pleasantly surprised by the things that can be, which is awesome.
So the thing that I love about movies is the collectiveness of it. Everyone has a piece, everyone has a vision, everyone has thoughts about the project, where it should go. And I would imagine, which we have a lot of actor friends, I would imagine with as crazy as we tend to be, actors, I'm talking to you and you know that I'm right. We're a little crazy sometimes. Is it difficult kind of managing the emotional state of actors whenever you're trying to because I would imagine it's like you're trying to corral and encourage and inspire, and also as a sheepdog would be like, hey, don't go in that direction or whatever.
Slap somebody silly sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. It's okay to get a little crazy sometimes. It's not okay to go psychotic.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And here's the other thing.
Difference.
Here's the other thing. Desperation is so easy to spot. And when you walk into a room being that desperate, you're never going to book the job. So, and I see it too. It's like, I'll have clients call me sometimes, and I hear the desperation in their voices, and it's not pretty, and it's hard. It's a hard thing to deal with because they're so desperate. They're grasping at straws. They're trying to make something work. And here's me thinking, well, I'm at a loss because no matter what I do right now, you're in this mental state that is so unhealthy. I can't even send you in a room.
It just doesn't even make any sense.
Because you're just going to self-sabotage. So,
oh my gosh. Speaking of,
it's tough.
Well, not self-sabotage, but this mental state. This one time I had this, before I had met you, I had an audition for this film, and I ran somebody over on the way to the audition.
What?
It wasn't my no.
What?
Listen, it wasn't my fault. No, it really wasn't my fault. I was driving no music on because it was what is this? What is that movie that Ryan Gosling and Eva Mendes did? The Pine.
The Place Beyond the Pines.
Yes. Okay. For whatever. I had an audition for this movie, so I'm driving and I'm on Moore Park in Woodman, and this homeless guy in a bike just pulled out of nowhere. Like literally, He hit his bike. He went over the hood of my car, rolled off. Geez. I literally was like, what the fuck? Oh my God. I was like, what? I thought I was going to throw up. I think I pulled over. No, I stopped the car, and the guy was like, I'm good. I think he was high off something. And he's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to call the cops. People came out of everywhere. They're like, literally, he just came out of nowhere. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I got to call the cops when I'm on my way to an audition. I got to go to this. And then, sorry.
I'll be back.
Are you breathing? Are you bleeding? Okay, I got to go. And so basically, but the crazy thing was, so the guy got up and just said, no, I got to go. I think he legit was high and didn't want the cops to arrest him because he did not want to wait for the cops. I was like, all right, I'm out. Peace. So I left. So I called my manager and I'm like, I just hit somebody with the car. And she was like, use it. And I'm like, bitch, I'm like, I gotta go do this stupid ass audition all the way in Santa Monica. So I somehow got my composure, drove all the way to Santa Monica, sat there, and I'm shaking. I was sick to my stomach just from that whole experience. Because imagine, right? And I'm sitting in the room, and it's you can hear the casting directors offering the role to setting up a lunch for Eva Mendes and Ryan Gosling at the time. And I'm looking at all the other, I'm like, why are we here? Why are we even here at the time? Obviously, it's always a good opportunity to meet a casting director for sure. But in my mind, I'm like, I just ran somebody over, and they're just gonna give this part to Eva Mendes anyway.
And I love that your manager said, use it.
Yeah, she's like, honey, are you okay, doll? I'm like, she's like, just use it, and I was like, all right. Bye. Anyway, but yes,
this dude, some dude is listening to this right now.
He's probably not.
He came out of a drunken stupor, and he's like, "Why is my arm broken? Why do I feel hurt?" And it's my wife sitting here who ran him over years ago. That's awesome.
No, that person's probably listening to the podcast. Is gonna come find you.
That's
Listen,
right.
You can't find me.
Oh yeah, that was.
It was me in my Honda Civic at the time. Yeah,
Unreal.
no, but yeah,
Have you ever run anybody over?
I have not.
Oh,
Thank God.
Yeah. Hey, listen, this town's crazy. People just come out of nowhere.
Apparently. Hey, but did you use it?
I can't remember now. Honestly, I was so sick to my stomach. I probably should have just rescheduled.
Did you book the job?
Eva Mendes booked the job. Listen, what can I say?
What did she do? If you hit somebody with your car, how did she get the job?
She's Eva Mendes.
Oh, I guess that's a piece of it.
Yeah. So anyways, that's that. No big deal. But anyway, so we had some fun questions that we had for you.
Uh-oh.
Funny fun.
Ooh.
Little icebreakers, even though we don't really need to break the ice. But so there's 5 questions and they're kind of random.
Okay.
And we're just curious what your answers are. So
And answer just off the top of your head.
Okay.
No judgment.
Uh-oh.
Right?
if you could be any animal, which animal would you be and why?
I'd be a dog because dog is man's best friend. Everybody loves dogs.
No, that's a good one. If you can only have one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh boy, probably chocolate. You probably knew I was going to say that.
Yep. I was like, and I knew that one. Okay. Your top celebrity crush
Of all time.
of all time.
Oh God, my top celebrity crush of all time.
Yes.
I don't know.
Nadia.
Couldn't say it in front of your husband.
Exactly.
Listen,
It
I
would've been
told him.
awkward, right?
I told him
No.
he needs to.
Here's a funny story. I was playing, that game Celebrity?
Yeah.
So I was playing Celebrity with one of my clients and his mom, right? We were bored one day. And so you put, you write down the names of different celebrities, you put them in a hat, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
All three of us put our client's name down as one of our celebrities.
Are you serious?
I thought it was so funny.
You're like,
Yes.
all right. He's like, woo. I'm a celebrity now.
I love it.
Okay, that was third question, right?
That was the
We got-
third question.
Well,
We
fourth
got two more.
question. If you could be a superhero, which superhero would you be?
Oh, gosh, that's a hard one.
You can even downgrade it to superpower if you.
Well, I would say Superman.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you kind of look like Superman with that dark hair and blue eyes.
He can fly and he has X-ray vision and
He's got 2 different
lots
outfits.
of power. Like, what else could you ask for?
He's kind of unstoppable with the exception of the kryptonite, but
Right.
just avoid the kryptonite, right?
Yeah. And if you weren't in the entertainment industry, what else would you be doing? I think I know the answer to this
You
too.
do know the answer. I would be a professional poker
Yes,
player.
you would be, which is a fun fact
love this.
about Frederick. He loves to play poker.
And he's good at it.
Yeah,
Is that true?
It is true.
that's what I
That's
told you.
awesome.
It's
I'd never been to Las Vegas.
What?
Not once.
Oh my gosh.
I
Been
know.
to the airport. I'll take that back. I have been to the place, but I've never been outside of the
Well,
airport.
let's go right now.
we
You
should
guys,
go.
see you guys.
Bye, Judah.
This is over.
Judah's sleeping. He won't wake up again until like 6 a.m.
Oh yeah, which for those of you, if you're tuning in online, we do this at night after our sun goes down. So thank you for coming at night.
Yes,
we know
of
that,
course.
Yeah.
Of course.
it's kind of crazy getting out, but
The last thing we want is for him to be like da 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 throughout our whole podcast.
I actually shot a movie in Las Vegas. So
Really?
I actually got to live in Las Vegas for like 6 or 8 months.
Like
Remind me,
resident.
which one
years
was
ago.
that again?
It's called Sins of Our Youth.
Yes, I remember.
With Lucas Till and Ali Sheedy, currently on Showtime.
That's amazing.
But what was amazing for me is, we'd film all day or a lot of times on that movie all night. And then everybody would go home and go to sleep. I would go to the casino and play poker for 8 hours. And then
Oh
go back
Lord,
to
you were in
set.
heaven. You
Oh
were
my
like
God.
I really was.
How'd you
perfect
keep the
job.
energy up.
I was just on adrenaline.
Wow.
I remember. I think I won 1 round of poker the first time I was ever invited to your place up here when you were nearby, and it was what is it that what is it when people win for the first time poker? First timers like
first time
Beginner's luck.
skill?
beginner's luck.
Yeah, yeah.
Beginner's luck. Yes, because I don't know how to play poker, but I won that day. I don't know how.
Beginner's luck.
You won the whole game?
I won like a round, I think.
You won a hand?
Yes. Well, no, I think I won the game.
Did you get money?
No.
Then you didn't win the
I
game.
don't remember now. See, that goes to show. Okay, never mind.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. After 30 minutes, I always go all in. I don't know what it is about it.
Because you probably are like, I'm good.
I'm like, I'm good. I enjoy watching people play it, which is weird.
Great, Preston. Anytime you want to come over and play, bring your money. We'll play again.
He's like 30 minutes.
Stakes are gonna be high. He's gonna be counting down for 30 minutes.
We just got to get him to last for 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's never failed. After 30 minutes, I'm like, I'm good. I'm gonna be over here eating snacks and watching guys have some fun. I don't know why. I've just never been into the game, but that's it. Would you think that it's a skill, or would you think it's more of a luck thing, or a combination?
Well, the reason I love poker, and I say that poker is not gambling, is because there is so much skill involved with poker, yet there is still a luck factor. So you can still do everything right and play a near perfect game, but if that ace comes on the river and you didn't want to see it,
right,
there's nothing you can do.
It's like being a manager or an actor. It's like you could be doing everything right and it'll go your way.
Yep.
Or you could be doing everything right and it doesn't.
I tell that to my clients all the time. You know, just because you didn't get the job doesn't mean you didn't do a great job.
Yeah.
You went in, you did do everything right. You were amazing in the room, but you know what? Because you didn't look like whatever the producer or director had envisioned in their head, didn't go your way.
Totally. And those are the factors that I think people just don't take. I mean, it's hard to consider those things when you're not part of the process and you don't know, but there's just so many factors that are completely out of your control. Like just completely. I did a commercial for Wendy's and a couple of years ago, and it was so funny because I went in and the wardrobe were like, yeah, you know, the second girl that they had on hold for this looked nothing like you. You like won out, like whatever. It was like they were either going to go with a tall blonde girl with like, you know, heavier, like a little heavier set, or short brunette, like ethnically ambiguous Latina. And it was just funny because I was like, oh, like literally, what were they going for? Right. It's like both did a good job, but they went with the Latin girl for once. For once. No, but really, it's just, yeah, that's another episode too that we're gonna want to like chat about too, like just like the whole diversity thing and kind of, you know, how that's playing into the politics or even just like the casting. And I've had some interesting thoughts about that. It's just a
Do you
whole
love
nother.
where the industry's headed?
Do I love where it's headed?
Yeah. Do you see potential in it, or does it feel like?
Listen, there are both good and bad things about where the industry is headed.
Right.
It's a really interesting time right now.
Right.
I do love that there is probably the best television we've had in my lifetime being produced right now.
Right.
That's amazing. I feel like there are so many more outlets for people who are creative to take advantage of. And I feel like the barriers of entry to do that are not as high as they once were. So I think that's really positive. I'm fascinated to see what happens with this WGA and agency fight.
Oh my God.
That hasn't been settled yet.
It has not been settled, and it's really fascinating to watch, and I'm curious to see what happens.
And if you're just hearing about that for the first time, there was I don't know the details intimately, so I'll just give you a little nugget. The Writers Guild, which represents all the writers in Hollywood, have been instructed by the guild to drop their agents.
Is that right?
Over a contract dispute about payment.
Well,
is that correct?
Packaging
ish.
It's about packaging. So, so the agencies, mainly the big agencies, in addition to representing talent, actors, writers, directors, they also package projects. So they'll, because they represent all of the top talent, they'll have one of their writers' scripts and they'll set it up at a studio with their actors and their director, and they'll collect what's called a packaging fee. So in addition to commissioning all of their talent that they're putting into the project, they're also getting a very hefty fee.
So they do get a commission off writers. And
so they get their commission, and then they also take a packaging fee. So there's a conflict of interest where they're double dipping, number one. And maybe not all of them will also take the commission, but there's also a conflict of interest in such that what are they fighting for? Are they fighting for a bigger packaging fee, or are they fighting for a bigger salary for their client?
Right.
And it is in many ways a conflict of interest. And so the Writers Guild is tired of seeing this, and they have instructed the writers to fire their agents unless they agree to stop taking packaging fees. So it's, but because those packaging fees are significant and make up a significant amount of the agency's income, they're not willing to part with it. So they're really at a stalemate right now.
Ooh, it's kind of like they're digging their heels in. Very interesting.
I didn't even think about it.
But it's not, they're not striking. It's not like a strike right now.
No, it's like
there's nothing to strike. It's between the guild and the agents. So it's not strikes are usually against the employers.
Right.
The employers are the studios, the networks.
It's like infighting.
It's infighting in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that ended up unfortunately ending their professional relationships with their agents for years over it. It'd definitely be interesting to see how that trickles down to the work that we're doing and what that means for future work and all that. I know for us, this year been a significant decrease in auditions commercially because of the renegotiation that was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, across the board for everybody. It's been very quiet commercially. Unless you're non-union, and then there's a million commercials right now.
Right.
Which that's another thing altogether. But yeah, it's been interesting because I was telling Preston, I was hearing of rates back in the day when more stuff started going non-union, and even the non-union rates were like better. I mean, still it's non-union, but better than what they're even offering now. It's like now for even non-union stuff, it's like, you would have let's just say Walmart do a non-union spot and it was like a $20,000 buyout for 2 years, but they're running it like crazy, but it's like $20,000 versus today it's like $1,500 for a year and day $250 for the day and multiple edits. And it's just well, what? How is this? It's just even gone down even to crazy levels where it's this big ass company is only paying not even $1,000, not even $2,000 for 2 years of
no residuals.
None.
And I know what you're thinking out there. If you're anything like me, whenever I was in Alabama wishing to be an actor, $2,000 sounds like a lot of money. It really does, or at least it did whenever I was looking in on it.
Yeah.
But if you factor in, you're going to a lot of auditions before you book that job. And then if you factor in you booking only 3 to 5 of those a year, then that's not a lot of money to be able to get you by in life. So although it's 1 day of work, a week of work, whatever it may be, it's all about measuring what is that time going to Santa Monica for an audition and coming back.
It's just also too, that's just not what the standard has been.
Right.
I don't know. It's crazy.
What do you think about all that? What do you think about non-union, union for the actors world? Because you deal with the projects themselves, and I'm sure it's difficult because work or don't work,
Yeah, but it's tough. If you're in the union, you do union work.
Yeah, period.
Yeah. Period, end of story. So I would like to see more union projects, and I would like to see, I'd like to see a couple of things. I'd like to see less non-union work.
Yep.
And I would like to see better contracts for the union work, because I hate to tell you, some of these contracts that SAG has approved for the actors, like the new media contract.
You mean for...
In digital contracts, and, they can basically pay the actors anything they want. And, or the ultra low budget contract, $125 a day.
That is nuts.
It is nuts.
I see Actors Access and I'm like, what? It's crazy. If for a 12-hour day,
yeah,
it's nuts. It's when I was training, I can do that in an hour, training a client.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It really is crazy to think about, especially if, you are on the set for 12 hours or you have given up a lot of time, effort, and energy. The solution for making a living would be more work or your own work, it seems like.
Well, the other thing that it just makes me laugh is that you get an audition for somebody for one of these ultra low budget, $100 a day or whatever, non-union, and then they want to do a self-tape, right? And then they send over 9 pages of sides and want it the next day.
I was just going to say.
And I'm like, really? 9 pages of sides for $125 a day job that I'm going to I'm like, really?
On top of the fact, if you have, obviously if you can self-tape at home, but if you're going to go pay somebody, which a lot of people do, I have a lot of actor friends that go, it's anywhere from I mean, if $30, maybe if you go to like Argentum or something and you're only taking up 30 minutes, but if you're doing like a coaching and doing all this, it's like you're paying anywhere onwards and upwards for $75 to $100 and something to do like a self tape. And I mean, you know,
I'll be very selective on low budget projects these days because it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to me. Oh, great. So I'm going to make a $12.50 commission.
Right. Awesome.
And you want me to tape them and upload it and edit it together and do all of your work?
No.
Right.
For $12.50?
It's
I don't
crazy.
think so. I don't think so.
2 days of
It is
work.
crazy.
They're like, you know, this role shoots 2 days. It's like awesome.
I had a client on an ultra low budget have to go to a 3-hour mix and match on a Saturday for a 1-day ultra low budget job. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's insane.
Insane.
Oh my gosh.
That's insane. It is. It's crazy. It's going to be interesting to see how things go.
And I think that's because we're in the Wild West. You know, like as the industry has been disrupted by technology, access, opportunity has gotten greater, but also these other factors make it more difficult to just survive. So it's one of those things where the dust is going to fall and there's going to be a new normal. Mm-hmm. And whatever that new normal is, we'll figure it out. But I think, you know, for me, I'm getting excited about trying to reprogram my brain to be like, it's not going back to where it was. It's not ever going to be the way that it was.
I have friends that are like still hanging on, and it's like, there can't be such an overcorrection, right?
Right.
I think there's gonna have to like somehow come back in the middle somewhere. But I think, you know, even in the commercial world, I have friends that are like, yeah, well, when I was working 12, 15 years ago, I'd book 3 or 4 commercials and I could buy a house. And it's like, not today.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you're booking like a campaign or like.
Oh, when I first became a manager, we'd send out our clients. They'd have 8, 9, 10 auditions a week. Sometimes they have 3 or 4 in one day.
Yeah.
Now it's like you get 1, maybe 2 a week. That's a good week.
Right.
You had a great week.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely been a shift for sure. And I think that's where I know for my friends, some of my friends were starting to like kind of be like, okay, well, what can we be doing? Because, you know, even then it's kind of like, how do you take control into your own hands again? I think that's part of the missing
you know how
piece.
I think you take control?
How?
Being flexible.
Yep.
I think we end it how we started.
Yep.
Frederick, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you how
thank
excited
you.
we were.
Of course.
Can you tell our listeners where again to find you so that they can
Sure.
follow you and say, hey?
On Instagram, I'm at management_101. That's our company. You can learn about all of our clients and what they're up to. And on Twitter, I think I'm at Frederick_Levy, Levy. Make sure you check out some of my books, Hollywood 101,
Yep.
Short Films 101, Acting in Young Hollywood. Check out my movies, Sins of Our Youth on Showtime, Geography Club on Amazon Prime.
Check them out, y'all.
Look them up. IMBD, I'm sure they can find that information as well. Amazon, is that where they can find your books or any location?
They can find it on Amazon's. Yep, absolutely.
Awesome.
Guys,
Well, we're
hit it up.
so great to have you, Fred. Thank you so much for coming.
Always a pleasure.
See you guys next week.
Bye.